Colorado looks peaceful from a distance. Snow-capped peaks stretch to the horizon, endless blue skies, postcard-perfect mountain towns nestled in valleys. It is the landscape of vacation brochures and retirement dreams. But beneath that serene surface lies a landscape shaped by catastrophic violence. Volcanoes erupted with a force thousands of times greater than Mount St. Helens. Rivers carved canyons not over millions of years, but in geological instants. Mountains are still moving, even now, creeping downhill at 20 feet per year, bending trees and cracking roads as they go. This is not a state that was gently molded over time by patient winds and soft rains. Colorado was forged in chaos, built by forces so violent they rewrote the rules of geology. The evidence is written in every cliff face, every canyon wall, and even in the radioactive tree rings of ancient forests. The question is not whether Colorado is peaceful. The question is whether it is finished. 28 million years ago, southwestern Colorado didn't just erupt. It exploded with a fury that redefined what a volcanic eruption could be. The La Garita caldera unleashed the largest known volcanic blast in Earth's history, ejecting 5,000 cubic kilometers of ash and rock into the atmosphere. To put that in perspective, Mount St. Helens, which many consider one of the most violent eruptions in modern history, released less than 1 cubic kilometer. La Garita was 5,000 times more powerful. The eruption created the Fish Canyon Tuff, a layer of volcanic debris that blanketed 11,000 square miles. That's enough ash to bury the entire state of Maryland several feet deep. The force was so immense that it collapsed the land into a massive crater, a scar that still shapes the topography of the San Juan Mountains today. But here's what makes this truly unsettling. Geologically speaking, 28 million years isn't that long ago. And Colorado is not done with volcanoes. Near the town of Gypsum sits Cerro Crater, the state's only historically active volcano. It last erupted between 3,800 and 5,500 years ago. That might sound ancient, but in geological terms, it is practically yesterday. Scientists still monitor Cerro just in case the sleeping giant decides to wake up. If volcanoes represent slow building, explosive violence, then what happened at the Black Canyon of the Gunnison represents something even more terrifying. Relentless and unstoppable force that never sleeps and never stops. Most rivers carve their canyons slowly, dropping a few feet per mile as they meander toward the sea. The Colorado River in the Grand Canyon, for example, drops about 7 feet per mile. Impressive, but almost gentle. The Gunnison River plunges an average of 43 feet per mile. In its steepest section, it drops 240 feet in a single mile. That is the equivalent of falling off a 24-story building every mile the river flows. For 2.5 million years, the Gunnison has been cutting through some of the oldest exposed rock on the continent. The Painted Wall, the canyon's most iconic feature, rises 250 feet above the river. That is taller than 2 Empire State Buildings stacked on top of each other. And the rock it is made from is 1.7 billion years old. Older than oxygen in Earth's atmosphere. Older than complex life itself. But the Gunnison's violence is not just about depth. It's about speed. The river did not meander lazily through soft sediment. It attacked hard metamorphic rock, carving through it at a rate of about 1 inch per century. That sounds slow until you realize it added up to a chasm over 2,000 feet deep. The canyon is so narrow and so deep that sunlight only reaches the bottom for 33 minutes a day in winter. Standing at the rim, staring down into that narrow black chasm, you are not just looking at a canyon. You are looking at the result of millions of years of unrelenting geological warfare. A battle between water and stone that the stone is slowly, inevitably losing. If you're enjoying this journey into Colorado's violent past, hit that like button and subscribe. We're diving into landscapes that don't just sit still, and there's a lot more to uncover. Let's keep going. Not all geological violence happens in sudden dramatic bursts of fire and ash. Sometimes it is slow, patient, and utterly unstoppable. Sometimes it takes centuries to notice. Just outside Lake City, Colorado, there is a mountain that has been sliding downhill for 700 years. It is called the Slumgullion Earth Flow, and it is one of the largest active landslides in North America. About 7 centuries ago, part of a volcanic mountain gave way and slid into the valley below, damming a river and accidentally creating Lake San Cristobal, Colorado's second largest natural lake. But the slide did not stop. A second, more recent flow began about 300 years ago, and it is still moving today at a rate of about 20 feet per year. That is fast enough to bend trees, crack roads, and shift the landscape in real time. The entire mass is a slow-motion avalanche of loose volcanic rock, creeping downhill like a river of stone. Geologists named it after an old slang word for a chunky, unappetizing stew, because that is exactly what it looks like, a thick, oozing soup of rock and soil that refuses to solidify. It is a reminder that even in a state known for its solid ancient peaks, nothing is truly permanent. The mountains themselves are still on the move. And Slumgullion isn't alone. Colorado is home to other restless landscapes. Grand Mesa, the largest flat-topped mountain on Earth, is actually an inverted valley. Millions of years ago, lava flows filled an ancient river valley. Over time, the surrounding land eroded away, leaving the old valley floor perched high above the modern landscape. What was once the lowest ground is now the highest. It is geology turned upside down. But not all of Colorado's violence is natural. In the late 1960s, the United States government decided to try something that sounds like science fiction, using nuclear bombs to extract natural gas. On September 10, 1969, a 40-kiloton nuclear device was detonated 8,400 feet beneath the Rocky Mountains, near what is now the town of Parachute. The goal was simple: fracture the underground rock to release trapped natural gas. The bomb was more than twice as powerful as the one dropped on Hiroshima. It worked. Sort of. The explosion did release natural gas, but the gas was so heavily contaminated with radioactive isotopes, including tritium, that it was completely unusable. Undeterred, the government tried again. In 1973, Project Rio Blanco detonated 3 33-kiloton nuclear devices simultaneously at different depths in the same area. Once again, the gas was worthless, saturated with radiation. Public outrage eventually shut down the program, but the legacy remains. To this day, drilling restrictions are in place around both sites because of lingering radioactive contamination in the soil and groundwater. And it is not just the ground. High in Colorado's alpine forests, ancient bristlecone pines carry a radioactive signature in their tree rings, a permanent record of the 1960s atmospheric nuclear tests. These trees, some over 2,500 years old, have been quietly documenting humanity's most explosive decade. Colorado's beauty is undeniable. Millions of people visit every year to hike its trails, ski its slopes, and breathe its thin mountain air. But it's not a beauty born from stillness or peace. It's a beauty carved by violence. Volcanic eruptions that reshaped continents, rivers that cut through billion-year-old stone with the patience of deep time, mountains that refuse to stay in place, and even human experiments that left radioactive scars hidden beneath the surface. The next time you see a photo of Colorado's majestic peaks or crystal-clear alpine lakes, remember this: you are not looking at a finished landscape. You are looking at a battleground, where the forces of fire, water, ice, and time are still fighting for control. And in that struggle, Colorado remains one of the most geologically active, unpredictable, and awe-inspiring places on Earth. The question is not whether Colorado is peaceful, it is whether it ever will be.